of truth. Right now, at this very moment, someone just like you is out there pushing their limits, breaking through barriers, and creating extraordinary results. The only difference between them and you? They stopped making excuses. Let me tell you about Michael, a man I met during one of my seminars in Chicago. He sat in the back row, arms crossed, looking skeptical. He had every reason to make excuses, laid off after 15 years, 3 kids to support, a mortgage underwater. But that day, something shifted in his mind. He made a decision that would transform his life forever. You see, Michael had spent years telling himself the same stories. Many of you might be telling yourselves right now, the economy is bad. I'm too old to start over. I don't have the right connections. These words were like poison, slowly killing his dreams, his potential, his future. The truth hits hard. Nobody cares about your excuses. The world doesn't stop turning because you're not ready. Your competitors won't wait while you gather courage. Your dreams won't pause while you find the perfect moment. Every excuse you make is a brick in the wall between you and your success. Every justification is another chain holding you back from your true potential. The cost, it's far greater than you might think. Think about this. The average person spends 1.5 hours per day justifying why they're not taking action. That's 547 hours per year. Nearly 23 full days of your life spent explaining away your lack of results. 23 days you could have used to build something extraordinary. The real cost of excuses isn't just time, it's the compounding effect of missed opportunities. While you're explaining why you can't, someone else is figuring out how they can. While you're listing reasons why it won't work, your competitors are making it work. Successful people understand this. Excuses are the nails used to build the house of failure. Every time you make an excuse, you're hammering another nail into your own coffin of mediocrity. I've worked with thousands of people across the globe, from CEOs to startup founders, from sales professionals to entrepreneurs. The single biggest difference between those who achieve extraordinary success and those who remain stuck isn't talent. It isn't resources. It isn't luck. It's their absolute refusal to accept excuses from themselves or anyone else. When you make excuses, you're not just losing time and opportunities. You're rewiring your brain to accept mediocrity. You're training yourself to be satisfied with less than what you're capable of achieving. You're teaching your subconscious mind that it's okay to quit when things get tough. The psychological impact is devastating. Every excuse weakens your self-image. Every justification diminishes your self-respect. Every time you explain away your lack of action, you're telling yourself that you're not capable, not worthy, not strong enough to handle challenge. But here's the liberating truth. You have the power to stop this destructive cycle right now. This very moment can be the turning point in your life. The moment you decide that enough is enough. The moment you choose to stop being a victim of circumstances and start being the architect of your destiny. Look at your life right now. Look at where you are and where you want to be. That gap, it's filled with excuses. Every dream you've postponed, every goal you've abandoned, every opportunity you've missed, they're all buried under layers of justifications and explanations. Your relationships suffer because excuses erode trust. Your career stagnates because excuses prevent growth. Your health declines because excuses make it easy to skip workouts and choose comfort over discipline. Your financial future remains uncertain because excuses keep you playing small, thinking small. The cost of excuses in your professional life is staggering. Studies show that people who consistently make excuses earn 40 less over their lifetime compared to those who take ownership of their results. They're passed over for promotions, overlooked for opportunities, and left behind as the world moves forward. Think about the last time you made an excuse. Really think about it. What did it cost you? What opportunities slipped through your fingers? What relationship suffered? What goal remained unachieved? The price of excuses isn't just measured in dollars and cents. It's measured in dreams deferred, potential wasted, and lives unlived. But here's the good news. The moment you stop making excuses, everything changes. The moment you take full responsibility for your life, your results, your future, that's the moment your life transforms. That's what happened to Michael in Chicago. After that seminar, he made a decision. No more excuses, no more justifications, no more waiting for the perfect moment. Michael took action immediately. He didn't wait for motivation. He didn't wait for the perfect plan. He started that very night, staying up until 3 to create his action plan. Within 6 months, he had started his own consulting business. Within a year, he was earning more than his previous corporate job. Today, he employs 15 people and serves clients across 3 continents. What changed? His mindset, his standards, his willingness to face reality head-on without sugarcoating it with excuses. You see, people make excuses for predictable reasons. Understanding these reasons is crucial because it allows you to catch yourself in the act and stop the excuse before it takes root in your mind. The first reason is fear, pure and simple fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of looking foolish, fear of stepping out of your comfort zone. But here's what you need to understand about fear. It's not going away. Successful people feel the same fears you do. The difference, they act anyway. I remember talking to a world champion athlete who told me something profound. He said, I'm scared before every competition, but I've trained myself to interpret that fear as excitement, as readiness, as my body preparing for peak performance. That's the mindset shift you need to make. The second reason people make excuses is their attachment to comfort. Your brain is wired to conserve energy, to stay safe, to avoid risk. This made sense when we were living in caves running from predators. But in today's world, this biological programming is holding you back. Your comfort zone is like a warm bed on a cold morning. It feels good to stay there, but nothing great happens in that bed. No goals are achieved, no dreams are realized, no fortunes are made between those comfortable sheets. The third reason is past conditioning. Maybe you grew up in an environment where excuses were accepted. Maybe you had parents or teachers who allowed you to justify mediocre performance. Maybe you've developed a habit of explaining away your failures instead of learning from them. But here's the reality check you knew. Your past conditioning doesn't have to be your future programming. You can rewrite your mental software. You can install new beliefs, new standards, new expectations for yourself. Environmental influences play a huge role too. Look around you right now. Are you surrounded by excuse makers or action takers? Are your friends pushing you toward excellence or pulling you toward mediocrity? The people around you will either raise your standards or lower them. I always tell my clients, if you're the most successful person in your social circle, you need a new circle, and not because you're better than anyone else, but because growth requires exposure to higher standards, bigger thinking, and stronger examples. Social programming is the fifth reason people make excuses. We live in a world that often celebrates victimhood over victory, excuses over excellence, comfort over courage. The media bombards you with messages that it's not your fault, that you're a product of circumstances, that success is about luck rather than effort. But let me tell you something. The most successful people I've met in my 30+ years of studying human achievement all share one common trait. They refuse to buy into this social programming. They understand that society's low standards are not their standards. This brings us to the critical mindset shift you need to make. It starts with taking 100% responsibility for everything in your life, not 99, 98, 100%. This means no blame, no complaints, no justifications. When you take total responsibility, something magical happens. Your power returns, your energy surges, your creativity awakens, because when you stop wasting mental energy on excuses, you have more energy for solutions. Think about it like this. Every time you make an excuse, you give away your power. You're saying that something or someone else controls your life, your results, your future. Is that really what you want? Do you really want to hand over the keys to your life to external circumstances? The ownership mindset is like a superpower. It transforms you from a victim into a victor, from a passenger into a driver, from someone who things happen to into someone who makes things happen. I've seen this transformation thousands of times. People who come to my seminars beaten down by life, convinced that their circumstances are to blame for their results. But when they grasp this concept of 100% responsibility, everything shifts. Their posture changes, their eyes light up, their voice becomes stronger, because they suddenly realize that if they're responsible for everything, they also have the power to change everything. This isn't just positive thinking, this is practical, results-oriented psychology that has been proven to work time and time again. When you shift from an excuse mindset to an ownership mindset, you start seeing opportunities where you used to see obstacles. You start finding solutions where you used to find problems. You start creating results where you used to create reasons. The decisions you make in the next few minutes could change the entire direction of your life. I'm going to share with you the exact steps successful people take to build unstoppable mental toughness and create winning habits that last. First, you need to identify your go-to excuses. Take out your phone right now. Open your notes app. Write down every excuse you've made in the last 7 days. Be brutally honest with yourself. I'm too tired. I don't have enough time. The market isn't right. I need more training. Write them all down. Now, next to each excuse, write down what that excuse has cost you. Be specific. If you said you were too tired to work out, calculate the impact on your health. If you said you didn't have time to start your business, calculate the lost income. Put a dollar value on these excuses. Make it real. Make it hurt. This exercise alone has transformed countless lives. One of my clients, Sarah, a sales professional in Texas, did this exercise and calculated that her excuses had cost her $147,000 in lost commissions over the previous year. That number shocked her into action. Today, she's a top performer in her company. The next step is creating what I call your accountability architecture. This is a system of checks and balances that makes it almost impossible to fall back into excuse-making patterns. You need 3 levels of accountability: personal, professional, and public. Personal accountability starts with your morning routine. The way you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Successful people win their mornings. They don't make excuses about being tired or hitting the snooze button. They get up, they move their bodies, they fuel their minds. I want you to create what I call non-negotiable standards. These are actions you take every single day, no matter what. Rain or shine, tired or energetic, busy or free. These standards don't bend. They don't break. They're as automatic as brushing your teeth. Professional accountability means putting skin in the game. Invest money in your growth. Hire a coach. Join a mastermind group. When you have financial investment tied to your goals, your excuses suddenly become very expensive. Your brain starts finding ways to succeed instead of reasons to quit. Public accountability is about leveraging the power of social pressure. Tell everyone about your goals. Post them on social media. Write them on your office wall. The more people who know about your commitments, the harder it becomes to make excuses. But here's where most people go wrong with accountability. They focus on the end goal instead of the daily process. Your daily habits are like compound interest for your success. Small, consistent actions, repeated day after day, create unstoppable momentum. Let me give you a specific example. One of my clients, Robert, was always making excuses about not having enough time to grow his business. We broke down his day into 15-minute segments. We found that he was spending 3 hours daily on social media and watching TV. That's 95 hours per year. Enough time to write a book, launch a product, or master a new skill. Robert started tracking every 15-minute segment of his day using a simple spreadsheet. The results were immediate and dramatic. Within 90 days, he had doubled his productive output. Within 6 months, his business revenue had increased by 87, all because he stopped making excuses about time and started managing it instead. Building mental toughness isn't complicated, but it requires consistent practice. Think of it like building physical strength. You don't get strong by lifting weights once. You get strong by lifting them repeatedly, progressively increasing the challenge. The same principle applies to mental toughness. Start with small challenges. If you catch yourself making an excuse, immediately do the opposite. If you say you're too tired to work out, that's your trigger to do 20 push-ups right then and there. Make the pain of making excuses greater than the pain of taking action. Create what I call success triggers throughout your day. These are specific cues that prompt positive action. When your alarm goes off, that's a trigger to jump out of bed. When you get in your car, that's a trigger to listen to educational content. When you feel like making an excuse, that's a trigger to take immediate action. The key to building lasting discipline is understanding that motivation is unreliable. You can't depend on feeling motivated. You need systems, structures, and standards that keep you moving forward regardless of how you feel. I've worked with Olympic athletes who tell me they don't always feel like training. I've worked with billionaire entrepreneurs who don't always feel like making tough decisions. The difference is they've trained themselves to act based on their commitments, not their feelings. Your feelings are important, but they cannot be the driver of your actions. This is where most people get stuck. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel motivated. They wait to feel certain. But success doesn't wait for feelings. Success responds to action. Let's talk about what it really means to work harder. Most people misunderstand this concept entirely. They think working harder means longer hours, more stress, and burning yourself out. That's not what I'm talking about at all. Working harder is about intensity, focus, and strategic execution. It's about making every minute count. It's about bringing your full attention and energy to everything you do. Think about this. Most people work at 40 of their capacity. They're physically present but mentally absent. They're going through the motions but not fully engaged. I learned this lesson from a construction worker turned millionaire entrepreneur. He told me I didn't have more hours than anyone else. I just decided that every hour I worked would be at maximum intensity. No phone checking, no casual chit-chat, no half-hearted efforts. When I worked, I worked. This man built a $50 million construction empire from scratch. Not because he worked longer hours than his competitors, but because he worked with greater intensity, greater focus, and greater purpose. Here's what working harder really looks like. It's showing up 30 minutes before everyone else, not to impress your boss, but to prepare your mind and organize your day. It's staying fully focused during your working hours instead of taking constant breaks to check social media. It's using your lunch break to learn, plan, and strategize while others waste time gossiping. But working harder isn't just about physical effort. It's about mental preparation and strategic thinking. Every Sunday night, I spend 90 minutes planning my week. I identify my most important tasks, potential obstacles, and key opportunities. This 90-minute investment saves me hours of wasted time and energy during the week. You need to understand the difference between motion and progress. Many people stay busy all day but accomplish very little. They confuse activity with achievement. True hard work has a purpose, a direction, a measurable outcome. Let me share a system I teach called the Power Hour. This is 1 hour of uninterrupted, focused work on your most important task. No phone, no email, no distractions, just pure, concentrated effort toward your biggest goal. 1 power hour is worth more than 4 hours of distracted, unfocused work. The key to sustaining hard work is building what I call work stamina. Just like an athlete builds physical stamina through progressive training, you build work stamina through progressive challenges. Start with 30 minutes of focused work, then increase to 45 minutes, then 60, then 90. Your capacity for intense work will grow. You also need to master your energy management. Hard work requires high energy. This means taking care of your physical foundation. Sleep becomes a strategic advantage. Nutrition becomes fuel for performance. Exercise becomes mental training as much as physical training. I want you to think about hard work like a professional athlete thinks about training. They don't just show up and start lifting weights randomly. They have a precise plan, they track their progress, they adjust their approach based on results. They understand that consistency beats intensity. It creates what I call performance rituals throughout your day. These are specific routines that signal to your brain it's time to perform at a high level. It might be putting on certain music, doing a brief breathing exercise, or reviewing your goals. These rituals trigger your mind and body to shift into high performance mode. But here's what separates true performers from everyone else. They're willing to do the hard things when they don't feel like it. They're willing to push through resistance, fatigue, and doubt. They understand that the highest levels of success require doing things that most people aren't willing to do. I worked with a woman who wanted to start her own business, but kept making excuses about not having enough time. She had a full-time job and 2 young children. Instead of accepting her excuses, we created a solution. She woke up at 4:30 a.m. every morning to work on her business for 2 hours before her children woke up. Was it easy? No. Did she always feel like doing it? Absolutely not. But she understood something crucial. Your circumstances don't determine your results. Your responses to those circumstances determine your results. This woman built her business to 7 figures within 18 months, all while maintaining her full-time job and being present for her family. She didn't find more time. She made better use of the time she had. She worked harder, yes, but more importantly, she worked smarter. Working harder means being ruthless with your priorities. It means saying no to good opportunities so you can say yes to great ones. It means eliminating activities that don't move you toward your goals. Every minute you spend on non-essential activities is a minute you could be investing in your future. Create what I call a not-to-do list. This is just as important as your to-do list. Write down everything you're going to stop doing. Stop watching TV during the week. Stop checking email first thing in the morning. Stop saying yes to projects that don't align with your goals. Every time you eliminate a time-wasting activity, you create space for high-value work. Remember this, the world doesn't reward average effort. The marketplace doesn't pay for excuses. Success doesn't come to those who work hard only when they feel like it. Success comes to those who make hard work their standard operating procedure. Let's talk about the real-world principles that separate the extraordinary performers from the average ones. These aren't theoretical concepts. These are battle-tested strategies that work in the real world, where results are the only thing that matters. Time management isn't just about managing time. It's about managing yourself. The most successful people I've worked with don't have more time than you do. They just make better decisions about how to use their time. They understand that time management is really life management. Here's the system I want you to start using today. It's called the 90 Hindful Rule. For the next 90 days, spend the first 90 minutes of your workday focused on your number one goal, not your email, not social media, not returning phone calls, just pure focused effort on your most important objective. One of my clients, a real estate agent in Florida, used this system to transform her business. In those 90 minutes, she focused solely on calling potential sellers. No distractions, no excuses. Within 90 days, she had doubled her listing appointments. Within 6 months, she had tripled her commission income. The second principle is what I call strategic batching. Your brain uses enormous energy switching between tasks. Every time you switch from one type of task to another, you lose momentum, focus, and efficiency. Instead, batch similar tasks together. Do all your calls at once. Write all your content at once. Handle all your emails at once. Create power blocks in your schedule. 2 to 3 hour segments where you focus on one type of high-value activity. During these blocks, turn off all notifications, put your phone in airplane mode, close your email. Create an environment that supports intense focus. Goal achievement isn't about working towards your goals, it's about working from your goals. Most people set goals and then try to figure out how to achieve them. Successful people start with their goals and work backward, creating detailed action plans and milestones. Use what I call the reverse engineering method. Start with your end goal. Then ask yourself, what needs to happen 30 days before I achieve this goal? What needs to happen 60 days before? 90 days before? Create a detailed timeline working backward from your goal to today. Focus and concentration are like muscles. They get stronger with use and weaker with neglect. In today's world of constant distraction, your ability to maintain deep focus is a superpower. Start training your focus like an athlete trains their body. Begin with what I call focus blocks. Start with 25 minutes of uninterrupted work, followed by a 5-minute break. As your focus muscle strengthens, increase to 45 minutes, then 60 minutes. Track your focus time like you track sets and reps in the gym. Energy management is the secret weapon of high performers. Your energy, not your time, is your most precious resource. You can have more time, but if you don't have energy, that time is worthless. Start treating your energy like the valuable resource it is. Create an energy audit of your day. Track your energy levels hour by hour. Notice when you're at your peak and when you slump. Then schedule your most important work during your peak energy times. Use your low energy periods for routine tasks that don't require intense focus. The most successful people I've studied all have what I call a power morning routine. This isn't about waking up early for the sake of waking up early. It's about taking control of the first few hours of your day to set yourself up for success. Your morning routine should include 4 key elements: physical movement, mental stimulation, emotional centering, and strategic planning. Even 15 minutes of each can transform your entire day. Remember, how you start your day determines how you live your day. Productivity isn't about doing more things. It's about doing the right things. Use the 80-20 rule religiously. What are the 20 of activities that produce 80 of your results? Focus your best time and energy on those activities. Eliminate, delegate, or automate everything else. Create systems for everything. Your brain should be used for thinking and creating, not for remembering and organizing. Build systems for your email, your tasks, your projects, your follow-ups. The more you systemize, the more mental energy you have for high-value work. One of my clients, a software developer, created a simple system for his code reviews. Instead of doing them randomly throughout the day, he batch processed them in 2 focus sessions. This one change saved him 90 minutes per day and improved the quality of his work. Remember this. Success leaves clues. When you see someone achieving extraordinary results, they're not doing it by accident. They're following specific principles and patterns. Your job is to identify these patterns and adapt them to your situation. Let's talk about the most powerful force in the universe when it comes to personal achievement: the compound effect. Small actions, repeated consistently over time, create extraordinary results. This isn't just a theory, it's a law of success that's as reliable as gravity. Think about this. If you improve just one each day, at the end of 1 year, you'll be 37 times better. Not 365 better, 37 times better. Because success compounds. Each small improvement builds on the previous ones, creating exponential growth. I worked with a sales manager who decided to make one extra call every day. Just one. It seemed insignificant at first, but over a year, that's 250 extra calls. Those calls led to 28 new clients, generating an additional $347,000 in revenue, all from one extra call per day. Small daily improvements aren't sexy. They don't make headlines. Nobody notices them in the moment, but they're the building blocks of extraordinary achievement. Success is built in inches, not miles. Progress is made minutes, not months. You need to understand the concept of momentum in your life. Just like a train requires enormous energy to start moving, but then can maintain high speed with relatively little effort, your success follows the same pattern. The hardest part is getting started and pushing through the early stages when you can't see results. I call this the valley of disappointment. That period when you're taking action but not yet seeing results. This is where most people quit. They make excuses. They lose faith. They give up. But champions understand that this valley is necessary. It's part of the process. It's where your character is built. Create what I call success markers along your journey. These are small milestones that show you're moving in the right direction. Don't wait for the big breakthrough to celebrate. Celebrate the small victories. Celebrate taking action when you didn't feel like it. Celebrate staying consistent when others would have quit. Build momentum through what I call streak tracking. Keep track of your consecutive days taking action toward your goals. Maybe it's days without making excuses, days following your morning routine, days working on your most important project. The longer your streak, the more motivated you'll be to maintain it. One of my clients, a writer, used this technique to complete his first book. He tracked his daily word count, aiming for just 500 words per day. Some days he wrote more, some days exactly 500, but he never broke the streak. In 180 days, he had a complete manuscript. The power wasn't in the number of words. It was in the consistency. Breaking through plateaus requires understanding the principle of adaptation. Your mind and body adapt to any consistent stimulus. This means you need to progressively increase your challenges. When something becomes comfortable, it's time to raise the bar. You can use what I call the +1 principle. Whatever you're doing now, add one more rep, one more call, one more page, one more minute of focused work. This constant pushing of boundaries, this refusal to settle for current performance levels is what creates breakthrough results. Creating lasting change isn't about motivation. It's about momentum. Motivation is emotional. Momentum is mechanical. You build momentum through consistent action, regardless of how you feel. The results you see 6 months from now will be determined by the actions you take today. Think about building a business like building a wall. Each brick represents a small action, a small improvement, a small win. One brick doesn't make a wall. But brick by brick, day by day, the wall gets built. Some days you might lay more bricks than others, but the key is to never stop laying bricks. Your daily habits are like votes for the person you want to become. Every time you choose action over excuses, you're voting for success. Every time you push through resistance, you're voting for strength. Every time you keep a commitment to yourself, you're voting for reliability. The compound effect works in both directions. Small negative actions repeated over time create failure just as surely as small positive actions create success. Every excuse you make, every commitment you break, every time you choose comfort over growth, these small decisions compound into major setbacks. But here's the empowering truth. So you're always just one decision away from a totally different life. One decision to stop making excuses. One decision to start taking action. One decision to commit to excellence. These singular decisions, backed by consistent action, create unstoppable momentum. For time will pass regardless of what you do. A year from now will arrive whether you take action or make excuses. The only question is, where will you be when it arrives? Will you be celebrating progress or recycling excuses? Will you be enjoying momentum or starting over again? The decisions you make in the next few moments will determine the entire course of your future. Right now, you're standing at a crossroads. One path leads to more of the same, more excuses, more mediocrity, more unfulfilled potential. The other path leads to everything you've ever wanted: success, achievement, fulfillment. Let me tell you about Tom, a participant in one of my seminars in Singapore. He sat where you're sitting now, listening to these same truths about excuses and hard work. Tom was 57 years old, recently laid off and drowning in debt. He had every reason to make excuses. every reason to give up, every reason to accept his circumstances. But Tom made a decision that day, a decision that would transform not just his life, but the lives of everyone around him. He decided that his excuses would end that very moment, not tomorrow, not next week, that very second. He took out his phone and deleted all his social media apps. He took out his wallet and cut up his credit cards. He took out his notebook and wrote down his commitment. From this moment forward, no more excuses, no more waiting, no more holding back. Within 24 hours, Tom had applied to 50 jobs. Within 48 hours, he had started a side business offering consulting services based on his 30 years of industry experience. Within 1 week, he had his first paying client. Within 6 months, his consulting business was